What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name's Kyle. It's Friday, March 29th, about 5:30. So happy Friday. Hope you guys are all doing well. Good Friday, happy Easter, all that good stuff to you guys. We're going to do a Green Bay Packers mock draft here, 7 full rounds. We're going to use the PFF mock draft simulator. This is, 6.0 for me. I've been doing about one of these every 2 weeks. And man, like we're entering April here soon. So I maybe got 2 or 3 of these left in me. We've already done 5. Like I said, there's going to be links in the description if you guys want to check out those previous ones. I try to do something different a little bit in each one and just try to get, some new names and some different ideas out there. But I do want to reiterate that, hey, this is a fantasy football channel. I'm working on a draft guide that's got pretty good details into the quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. So I'm very up to date with those positions. Unfortunately, the Packers don't need too many of those, but we'll look at running back for sure. But this is a fantasy football channel. So if you guys like fantasy football, you guys like the Packers, subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. I do want to start the video, and this is kind of how I've been starting the mock drafts. I like to pull up the Our Lads depth chart and kind of just give you guys my thoughts real quick on what we might be looking at here. And obviously, we made some pretty big free agency splashes, but let's just kind of set the table here. At receiver, Watson, Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks. That's a really good group of 4 guys that are all really young. I love that group. Malik Heath, Bo Melton, they're solid 5'6" guys, but if it's day 3, I wouldn't mind maybe adding another receiver to the mix here and see what he can do, especially with the new kickoff return rules. Maybe we find a guy that's a receiver returner. I think that's interesting. But I think overall we're good at receiver. Offensive line, I'm cool with Zach Tom starting right tackle. I love him there. I think Elgton Jenkins, of course, at left guard is locked in. Josh Myers starting center. I think we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and leave him there. I wouldn't mind maybe bringing in a competition guy for him. And then left tackle, Rasheed Walker. I like Rasheed Walker. I think he showed flashes last year, and he did get better as the season went on. And then right guard here, obviously losing John Runyon Jr. We're left with Sean Ryan and Royce Newman. Both those guys were below 50 in PFF grades last year. But I do want to just let you guys know, I was looking at the numbers, and I think the last 5 Packer games, Jordan Love was only sacked like maybe once, and we had a Aaron Jones rush for 100 yards in 5 straight games. That's including, big games against the 49ers, big game against the Cowboys. Some really big games there from the Packers offensive line, keeping Jordan Love clean. So as bad as, maybe Rasheed Walker and Sean Ryan might be, I think our offensive line is maybe just 1 player or 2 away from being really, really good. Tight end, we don't need a tight end. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Tyler Davis brought back. I think we're good on tight end, obviously good on quarterback. The running back room, I'm expecting Josh Jacobs to get the bulk of the work. I don't think we're going to see A.J. Dillon handle as much work as we've seen him, over the last few seasons. They like Emmanuel Wilson quite a bit, but I really want to bring in a running back that has some explosiveness to his game, someone that can offer a little bit of what Aaron Jones offered to this offense, a guy that can maybe be some third down playmaking abilities in the receiving game, just offer, big chunk plays, something like that I think could be nice. So offensive line, left tackle, right guard, and kind of an RB2 maybe would be nice. Defensively, the strength of this defensive unit, it's kind of spread out. I like our edge rushers, Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Finesse. We can maybe get another defensive end, and move into a 4-3. So those guys will probably be playing defensive end for us. Linebacker, we need a starting linebacker. We have McDuffie and Quay Walker. I don't know if either of these guys are middle linebackers per se, so maybe we look for a starting middle linebacker today. Cornerbacks, you got Stokes, you got Alexander. I like the depth of Valentine, but I don't know if any of those guys are like, ideal number 3 corners. I think they could be, but I kind of want to bring in competition for cornerback number 3. And then Nixon, kind of a little bit of a liability as our nickel corner. So if we could find a way to improve our starting nickel cornerback and have him be our 3rd best corner, I think that would be great. McKinney at safety, we love him, from New York, but we do need a second safety. Anthony Johnson Jr., I don't know if he's starting material. So we'll look to upgrade that second safety spot, a 3rd cornerback, a middle linebacker. We can get some edge rushing, defensive end help. And then defensive line, you got Clark, Slayton, Devontae Wyatt. I like that group, but maybe we bring in another guy that can come in and compete. Kenny Clark's not getting any younger. But there you go. That is our offensive, our depth chart recap. And then before I start the video, look at this. The Packers on DraftKings here. Position of first drafted player in the draft. Offensive lineman, minus 120. Cornerback, plus 150. Defensive line slash edge, plus 550. There you go. So we'll see what we can find. And then I will, maybe we'll pull up the RAS scores along the way. But let's get right into it. I already hit start the simulator button. It looks like we just missed out on Brian Thomas, Bo Nix, Graham Barton, who I think has a really good chance at being a Packer. He could be our starting right guard, maybe compete at left tackle. Cooper DeJean, who I think is a pretty popular Packer player, mocked. Byron Murphy, Amarius Mims, Fashanu. We're missing out on some really good offensive linemen here. But with that being said, first round pick, the last mock draft video I did, it was 5.0. I did Jerzon Newton as a defensive lineman. I didn't love it, but it was kind of fun to do something different. Nate Wiggins, McKinstry, Jackson Powers Johnson. Let me see if Powers Johnson is in here for the RAS machine. Oh, it just glitched a little bit. Damn it. Sorry, bear with me here. It's a little glitchy on this site. He doesn't have an RAS score yet. But you can see his height is small, weight great, bench great, vertical jump pretty dang good, broad jump. This looks like a player that's going to test pretty highly in the RAS department here. And you can see his comps, all having 9s. A couple guys with some lower scores here, but this looks like a good player here. And what I like about Powers Johnson is started at center last year for Oregon, played right guard in 2022, and he kind of got a few snaps, didn't really play a lot as a freshman, but basically 2 years as a starting quality player, 0 sacks given up as an interior blocker, run grade 85, this pass block grade's near elite, zone grade really good, gap grade really good, true pass set blast, pass block grade really solid. Playing at Oregon, he got some really good competition. He's peaked up here into the top 20 of the NFL draft, most drafted by the Steelers, Cowboys, and the Packers. I mean, just looking at the board here, Newton would come in and compete on defensive line. Nate Wiggins and McKinstry, sure, these guys could come in and compete for our third cornerback, but they're going to have hard time getting on the field right away. I think getting Powers Johnson, he slots right into our right guard. He can also, get some reps at backup center if anything happens there. I do like Nubin and Peyton Wilson, but I think getting the right guard spot locked away is a really big deal. And like I said before, Sean Ryan and can't remember the other guy, Royce Newman, they both had really poor grades last year. I think right guard might be the biggest need in the entire draft for the Packers. So we're going to grab Jackson Powers Johnson here off the bat. Pick 25, we got us a big, nice starting offensive guard here for the Packers. Moving into pick number 41, we missed on Tyler Nubin, Edgerrin Cooper, Leggett, Keon Coleman, and Rakestraw. There are some really interesting players here on the board. We could look at left tackle Jordan Morgan, 3-year starter at Arizona. Didn't play well his freshman year, but pretty near elite numbers here. His final 2 seasons, only given up 3 sacks over the last 2 years. Really strong zone grade, not the best gap grade, but pretty elite pass blocking grade here from Jordan Morgan. So if we want a left tackle, I'm open to that. Peyton Wilson. I did mock Peyton Wilson in a couple of my videos of the 5 mock drafts. I'm not going to take him here just because I mocked him and I've talked about him before. I really like him. One of the concerns that I got in a lot of the comments from people watching that video was he has an extensive injury history. So I'm slightly concerned about Peyton Wilson, but he will be a productive linebacker when he's healthy. I was hoping Edgerrin Cooper would fall. He's a really good player, but we're not able to get him. I mentioned Zach Frazier. No, I didn't mention Zach Frazier, but he is a pretty elite center. He could play a guard position. Ladd McConkey, the receiver. TJ Tampa, I like quite a bit. He's a really nice outside corner. I don't know if we would look for him here in the second round. The cornerback that I wouldn't mind taking here, though, is Mike Sainristil, a pretty elite cornerback in the slot. He had 403 slot reps last year, 582 the year before. I mean, this guy would probably come in. I think he'd be able to beat Keyshawn Nixon for the starting slot position. Completion percentage is about 58%. Coverage grade 85. Run defense is fine. Man coverage grade above average. Zone coverage grade's pretty elite as well. I like Sainristil. Every NFL team would love to have a player like him. He brings a great skill set and mentality to be a starting slot cornerback with safety and special teams versatility to boot. He should be viewed as one of the top football players in this draft, regardless of position. So, Adding a guy like him, I think, makes a lot of sense. I've seen Kamari Lassiter be a name brought up a lot. I just want to look at the trends here. No Packers on that one. Let me look at Sainristil still real quick. The trends. Look at that. Packers, the third team here to be drafting Sainristil still. I do like Braden Fisk a lot, and I have mocked him before. He's a B gap kind of player. He can come in and compete on the defensive line right away. He was a freak athlete with the RAS measurement tools. Fisk's measurements are not ideal, but he has an NFL level football IQ and pass rush quickness to be a potential impact player as a 4-3 defensive tackle, even with some run defense deficiencies. So, if we want to maybe look forward to a starting defensive tackle in a year or two, maybe he can even beat out Devontae Wyatt. I don't know. But I think Braden Fisk, Jordan Morgan, Sainristil still. If we wanted an edge rusher, Braswell from Alabama, can't go wrong with drafting one of these guys here. So it's a pivot point for me. I think those are the names that I'm looking at here. Sainristil still a slot corner, Braden Fisk, defensive tackle. Again, Jordan Morgan though, really nice left tackle here. The last 2 seasons, he put up some really nice numbers. We could compete with Rasheed Walker, so I'm open definitely to that. I don't know. I'm kind of torn here, guys. I don't know which position to go. I think I'm going to go with Braden Fisk, though. He is you talk about RAS scores. He is about as good as it gets. A 9.99. Again, they mentioned his size being the concern here, but you look at his explosion grade, elite, speed grade, elite. He just didn't have the height and the weight exactly there. The bench was fine, but Braden Fisk could be a really nice player for the Packers. He'd be able to come in and compete for the defensive tackle spot and just offer a rotation there. So he might not be the biggest need here, but I think he's a pretty good player. So I'm going to grab Braden Fisk here at pick number 41. 58, round 2. We're back on the board here. Jatavian Sanders, Jonah Ellis, edge rusher who I like. Rook Aurora, if we wanted a defensive lineman, I think he's a nice project. Jonathan Brooks, the running back. Kieran Amegdije. I'm still not sure if I'm saying that right, but this is a guy that's really popped in the numbers for me when I'm doing these mock drafts. A starting left tackle. He didn't play a lot of games last year. I still have to look into that, but a starting left tackle. Last 2 years, he has left guard experience as a freshman, 0 sacks allowed as a left tackle, elite run block grade, elite zone grade, pass block and gap grade are pretty good. Of course, it's Yale, so maybe not the best competition, but he looks like a future pro on film when standing next to FCS level competition. This could be some really nice competition for Rasheed Walker here. Otherwise, Marshawn Nealand, edge rusher. I did like Chris Jenkins quite a bit. Jaden Hicks is a safety that I've seen mocked to the Packers quite a bit. Let's just take a look at Jaden Hicks here. The trends have Green Bay 37% most drafted by. We're talking about 6'3", 212. Hicks is a well-built, strong safety who can play at all 3 levels of the field. He is a tone-settling tackler and has starting potential in 2 safety systems, especially as a strong safety / robber over the middle. So I know we're kind of locked in with McKinney as our strong safety, but I'm open to that. That all sounds good. Junior Colson, the linebacker here out of Michigan, productive player, pass rush grade, not the best, but really strong coverage and run defense grade. So maybe we can look at Junior Colson. I don't know if there's any other linebackers down here that we're going to like. So Colt, maybe Jeremiah Trotter. So this is tough. I'm not quite sure where to go. I do like the idea of Jaden Hicks. Christian Haynes is a really right guard if we wanted to wait. If I didn't take Powers Johnson first, we could have grabbed Christian Haynes here, the right guard. Colson's down here a little bit. I think I'm just going to grab the left tackle, guys. I'm going to grab our future starting left tackle here, Kieran Amegdije. 6'5", 318. Projecting a player to go from the FCS level to the NFL level as a starter is tricky, but Amegdije has the tools and the shape to be a worthwhile investment in the top 50 as a starting caliber tackle or guard. So I think we're going to try it. He's a top 50 player, left tackle here. So we're filling the trenches. We got a left tackle, we have a right guard, and we got a defensive tackle. So playing up front. And let's see if we can find, I mentioned that safety position. I mentioned the linebacker position. Those are needs for sure. I haven't found a linebacker that I really, really love yet, but we're up to pick. I mentioned running back being a position that I want to look into. I do like Renardo Green, the cornerback here out of Florida State. elite man grade coverage. Now he's an outside corner, really strong coverage grade. His run defense is not as good. Completion percentage is fine. But you're looking at a 2-year starter here from Florida State, 6'0", 196. Packers mocking him 14%. I think Renardo Green's a player on the target. Otherwise, the other Florida State cornerback here is pretty strong as well. And he's got his best graded season was last year, where he had almost 400 slot reps, elite man coverage grade. Coverage grade is really nice. Zone coverage, not as great. Run defense is pretty strong. I mean, I think if we're looking for a guy here, he can be our starting slot player. So it took a while for Jones to find a home at slot cornerback, but since doing so, he has shown valuable skills that should translate to the NFL. His quickness, both physically and mentally, projects well to the slot as a rotational defensive back or nickel starter. So we could maybe get a nickel starting cornerback here. If we wanted to look more at safety, I think there's still a couple guys on the board here, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to grab Jarrian Jones to be our starting slot cornerback here. And there's really not any linebackers. You know, we could look at running back, but I think grabbing Jarrian Jones here to be our nickel, or he could be our number 3 corner, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So we'll grab him. Pick 91, looking at a couple safeties here. Callan Bullock out of USC. He's a 3-year starter, really bad run grade here, but his coverage grade is pretty good. And if we just need someone to kind of be the wingman to Xavier McKinney, I think that could be interesting. So Bullock's lack of strength will limit how much an NFL team can trust him to play early in his career. But if he can get stronger, he possesses elite range as an impactful single high safety for any defense, especially in cover 3 and cover 1. So our new defense is going to stress single high stuff. I know we have McKinney, but this could be something that could work. You know, if we put him out there as a single high safety, or if he's the wingman for McKinney, I think he could be a guy that they're looking at. So most of the negatives on his scouting report are in run defense. He is slender and currently lacks NFL level strength to be reliable there. Though his movement skills are cornerback-like and can translate to slot coverage, his strength is an issue when playing near the line of scrimmage or against tight ends and man coverage. So those are his weaknesses. I really like Dadrian Taylor Demerson too, if we wanted to go safety again. 3-year starter out of Texas Tech. He's got reps in the slot, you know, a lot of reps in the slot, box and deep. Let's look at his measurables. 5'11", 195. I believe he was the fastest cornerback in the draft, 29% mocked here. No analysis on him, and I've mocked him a handful of times in our videos, so maybe I don't pick him, but I really like him. A linebacker here, a 2-year starter, Marist Liafau. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but he's got a really good coverage grade. Pass rush grade and defense grade, run defense grade are fine. Not the greatest PFF scores here. Let me see if there's analysis. So he's nasty when coming downhill, a little slow to recognize where the ball is going, average long speed. His instincts and feel for spot zone coverage still need work if he is to be relied upon consistently. He is projected as a contributing inside linebacker for either a 4-3 or 3-4 defense. So he could be a contributing guy for our defense. No other linebackers are really. Tommy Eichenberg at Ohio State, not the best grades here. So I think I want a linebacker earlier in the draft. Let me know if you guys agree with that, because it looks a little thin here now. But I'll tell you what, I think I'm just going to grab the safety here, Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech, and we locked down our secondary room. We added another safety, and Demerson's really strong here. I wish they had an analysis on him, but he's one of my favorite players to mock at pick 91. So we grab a potential starting slot corner and a potential starting safety. Secondary is looking really good. I'm up to pick here again in the 4th round, and I got to talk a little bit about the guy that I'm super excited to draft right now, because there's a lot of guys that I like on the board here, and I haven't really clicked on his name yet, but it's Tyrone Tracy, the running back from Purdue. He did play at Iowa for 2 seasons as a receiver. You can see he's got pretty nice receiving numbers here. But at Purdue, he was given kind of the 1A, 1B situation where he was, you know, running a lot with another running back. 8 touchdowns, 19 receptions, 138 receiving yards. A really strong grade here, 87.5. Look at the grades here, 90.5 as a rusher. Zone grade, 80.7. Gap grade's really good. Elusive rating off the charts. You know, and I was talking about in my my fantasy football draft prep guide, Tyrone Tracy popped. He was a guy that was very elite in a lot of metrics, very elusive, a lot of missed tackles forced. His receiving background ranked him pretty highly as a receiver. This could be the juice that we're looking for. You know, having Jacobs and Dillon, those guys are kind of they leave, you know, a little bit more to be desired in terms of being athletic. But Tracy, 6'1", 210, super fast, super elusive. This could be someone that we're looking for to add a little bit of spark to the offense. So I'm going to grab Tyrone Tracy here to be our RB2, and we'll move on to the next round, round 5. All right. I need a linebacker. I need a linebacker. I need a lot of things here. Let's just look at the linebackers available. Steel Chambers out of Ohio State, a 3-year starter. Not a lot of analysis on here. Trends, the Packers are taking him a lot. You know, at this point, we just need a guy. We're picking 169, so maybe this is not the time to do it. This is maybe a little bit of a luxury pick here. I'm seeing more cornerbacks here. Kamal Hayden out of Tennessee, another Michigan guard, left guard here, 3 years as a left guard, elite pass blocking grade. I don't know if there's an analysis on him. Trends, the Packers have been clicking on him. Interesting here, another guard potentially. Joe Milton, backup quarterback. I like Malik Mustafa out of Wake Forest. He's a 3-year starter here. Elite run defense grade here. I know I grabbed Taylor Demerson, but at this point, I think we're just kind of looking for guys to plug in and maybe, you know, do some diverse looks here. So Mustafa has the skill set and mentality of a throwback strong safety. He does not have the fluidity or the long speed to be relied upon in single high roles, but his toughness, power, and motor make him an ideal depth safety to draft and develop, likely starting with a special teams role. So he's a tone setter over the middle of the field, reminiscent of Bob Sanders. So maybe, you know, he could be like a nickel kind of linebacker, it sounds like here. So I'm interested in Malik Mustafa. He did play some slot, plays a lot of box and a lot of deep. So kind of, you know, and the fact that he plays special teams would get him on the opening day roster. And, you know, maybe he's safety number 3, but he could kind of come in and compete. So Malik Mustafa definitely has my attention. We already grabbed the left tackle. We already grabbed a right guard. So maybe we're not looking at offensive linemen quite yet here, but man, not sure what to do. I'm going to grab him. I think he's interesting. And we're just kind of loading up that secondary. I do need a linebacker yet, maybe some edge rushing ability. We'll see if we can find it here next in the 6th round. Defensive lineman out of Georgia, Zion Logue. Let's see his measurables. 6'5", 310. We got Braden Fisk here. He's a B-gap guy. Probably not taking him. Let me see what else. We can get some centers, some guards, some more corners. We already kind of looked at that secondary pretty deeply. Tyron Hopper here, a 3-year starter out of Missouri. Really poor year last year. Really strong year in 2022. Is there an analysis on him? Packers #1 team to take him here. 6'2", 221. Now you're talking about a box linebacker, a guy that has really poor coverage and really poor run grade defensively last year. He had a really rough year last year, so I'm not sure. I'd have to look more at the tape there. I really like Tanner Bortolini as a depth offensive lineman here. You know, a guy that has center capabilities and can be a backup left or right guard for us. I think that's what I'm going to grab here. I'm not really seeing anything else that makes sense here. No linebackers. Jalen Ford maybe out of Texas, 3-year starter here. But I'm gonna grab Bortolini. And you know, another thing to me too is the Packers didn't draft an offensive lineman last year. I think we're gonna probably take at least 2, maybe 3 this year. And now I need to kind of round out my draft here. I have round 6, pick 219. Let's just look at the Texas linebacker here. Really poor coverage grade, but his run defense grade really strong. Pass rush grade is okay. A box linebacker here. Again, he's a 3-year starter, 6'3", 242. 15% Packers, man. I think we're looking for bodies here. And we're not going to get an elite player at this point of the draft. But if we can get a special teams player or someone that can kind of come in and compete, you know, for that outside linebacker spot, I think Jalen Ford could be the guy. Some cornerbacks here. Josh Wallace out of Michigan. Really nice year last year. Strong zone coverage player, though. Pretty good run coverage, too, here. This actually looks interesting for a guy that's that deep. I might have to file that name away. There's more running backs down here. Some junk receivers. I'm just going to grab the linebacker here. We need to fill some bodies on the defensive side of the ball here. And we're up to pick one more time. Defensive lineman Evan Anderson out of FAU. B-gap and a little bit of A-gap experience. Elite run grade defensively. 6'3", 256. That's got some intrigue here. I haven't grabbed an edge rusher yet, like a true defensive end. Khaled Duke out of Kansas State, 2-year starter here, 6 sacks last year, 3 the year before. Really fine, a really strong run defense grade, actually. Is there an analysis on him? 6'4", 246. Packers drafting him. That's interesting. We're up to pick again, so maybe we look at that. Nathaniel Watson, a linebacker out of Mississippi State, a box linebacker. Coverage grade is weak, but he's about average. Pass rush grade above average. Run defense grade above average. Average depth of tackle looks pretty good. This actually doesn't look too bad. Nathaniel Watson here out of Mississippi State is intriguing. Now, I've drafted this Dallas Gant a ton. He's got a really poor pass rush grade, but coverage grade elite. Run defense grade elite. A box guy here, a 2-year starter. This looks really interesting. I keep drafting him. So, I don't want to take him here, but as a linebacker, he's been kind of the guy that I've been just taking a lot. We could look for Nathaniel Watson here, Jordan McGee, another Temple player here who really strong year last year. Wow. 3-year starter from Temple, elite pass rush, really strong run defense, really good coverage grade here. I don't see an analysis or a trend here, but 27% Packers, Jordan McGee. And that's kind of what we do, man. We found a way to just find these linebackers on day 3 that come in and start for us. It's something that the Packers do really well. They draft and develop players. So looking at a linebacker here, I think makes a lot of sense, whether it's McGee, Watson, Dallas Gant. I'm going to take Jordan McGee here. 245, we'll grab him. And we got 2 linebackers late. I think we got 2 more picks left here for some luxury here. I could take another linebacker with Dallas Gant, J.J. Weaver, the edge rusher out of Kentucky. A 3-year starter here. Nothing great on his grades, but you can see people are clicking him for the Packers. I didn't grab an edge rusher here, so I think grabbing just another body makes a lot of sense. Trahan Jeffcoat, really poor grades here out of Jeffcoat, honestly. Trends, the Packers have been clicking on him. Any other edge rushers down here this late? Another Brian Ugwu out of Miami interests me a little bit. He's got some nice grades. Not great competition, of course, being from Miami of Ohio. But I think looking for an edge rusher here this late makes a lot of sense. Let's look at the Washington guy here. A 2-year starter, strong pass rush grade. Outside the tackle edge rusher could be the move here. And you can see a lot of Packer have been clicking on him. So I'm going to grab an edge rusher here. We're just going to take the top one. Where'd that name go? And again, I really like Dallas Gant. I think I want him here. But J.J. Weaver, 3-year starter out of Kentucky. Let's see what he can do. Let's just grab an edge rusher. Your favorite one, whether it's Jeffcoat, Ugwu. Just grab an edge rusher here this late. He's going to come in and compete as our number 4 this year. So we'll grab that, and we're done. Look at that. Let's see what the draft grade does for us. I'll kind of recap for you guys as we go along here. So Jackson Powers Johnson, our starting right guard, backup center, gave us a C grade. I don't know why. We did get Braden Fisk out of Florida State, round 2, pick 41, A- grade on that. Kieran Amegdije, they like this one, A-. Our potential left tackle starting guy here. We grabbed Jarian Jones. They give me a C- on that, but he's our starting slot cornerback here. They like Taylor Demerson, the potential starting safety for us. So just looking at our top 100 picks, I got a starting right guard, a rotational defensive tackle, potential starting left tackle, a potential starting slot corner, and a potential starting second safety. So 5 potential starters here for the Packers, probably 3 or 4 for sure. The back half of the draft was filled with a change of pace back, Tyrone Tracy, really good receiving guy, elusive, really fun to watch. Malik Mustafa, man, I might be coming around to him maybe being a hybrid linebacker safety for us, a guy that can kind of come in nickel packages and play some different positions for us. They gave us an A- on that. So Malik Mustafa, name to file away. Tanner Bordellini, a interior defensive or offensive lineman that could be some nice depth. Jalen Ford and Jordan McGee will compete for linebacker 3, and then J.J. Weaver, edge rusher out of Kentucky. They gave us a B. I'm fine with it. Overall, I think this is an interesting draft. Again, it's a mock draft. I'm just having fun here, so don't roast me too much in the comments. We're just having fun with it. So let me know what you guys think here. I think I maybe got 3 starters for sure. Powers Johnson, Amegdije, Jarian Jones could be a slot corner, and maybe a starting safety here. So I think we got some nice players, and we kind of hit on all levels of the defense. It's an interesting draft. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you guys are new, And I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.